Chutes and Ladders, episode 5. We are going to recap Forbidden Door, AEW, our first AEW episode. We are up front. That's why we call this Chutes and Ladders. We didn't watch it. We only watched clips from the internet and from social media, as well as, read reports. That's how we roll, because we know for a fact that a lot of you guys did the same exact thing.
Did anyone pay for it? Because I did not.
Neither did I. If I had to guess, majority of people did exactly what we did, and we're very proud of it. Because
I really want to know who's paying for it, though. Like, do you have a subscription or?
To be honest, if I had to guess, most people probably found a way to get it online illegally. I know that's a thing. I know that. I'm sure there are a handful of people that are willing to spend that money, but we talked about this off camera, but we're under subscription fatigue. We pay enough for television on its own, so $50 just for one event, not happening.
It was 50?
I'm pretty sure. I'll cut that out if it's not the case. I'm pretty sure it's $50. So yeah, no.
Either way, that's so much for that. Yeah. It'd be different if it was like their Mania, but it's not.
Yeah, and they don't have one. All right, so we're gonna actually start from the top down. So apparently it was the match of the year for AEW, Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland. The highlights I saw were amazing. Everything I've read, Cage Side Seats reported it was the match of the year. What do you have to say about that?
From everything that I heard and read and my 30-second clips off of social media, it looked really great. I heard nothing but great things, and I love how it ended. I'm glad Swerve is still our champion. I think he's a great champion. I think he's so hot right now, so I think they should just keep this going.
Sure. You bring up a good point. Yeah, he definitely, right now he's at a 10. What's funny is Will Ospreay is actually at a 10 as well. So this is actually a good problem to have. So Cage Side Seats is actually reporting that apparently Will Ospreay was actually disappointed that he didn't win. Apparently they're setting that up for another event. I get it. You want to strike while the iron's hot, but you have two irons in this situation, which again, this is a good problem to have. But it's going to be very interesting to see how this leads to storylines upcoming for the next couple of months. And does this feud last for this foreseeable future, or are they going to bring in other wrestlers involved too? What do you think about that?
Let's be mindful too that Will also already has a title. So now he wants both. And we also have to think about MJF is back too, and what is he doing?
Yeah.
And he's also a contender. He's also really hot as always. So now we have 3 top guys.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, that's not a terrible problem to have. So let's just hope that they're booked properly. And their next one, or the biggest one that's coming up now, is All In, and I think that's in late August. So
yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting to see. Look, these guys obviously are great performers. They're great competitors. Fans love them. They're carrying the brand right now. I would have to say that overall, this is going to just lead to just multiple different storylines. We'll see who else gets kind of included. But as far as the absolute, just the show steal, there's just the showstopper, there's the show stealer, it would definitely be, the match of Swerve and Will Ospreay. As far as that, apparently the rest of the event wasn't really as good overall. We'll kind of go through a brief rundown on that. But before we do that, let's just kind of continue, just elaborate a little bit more. From as far as overall storylines, kind of the state of the union of AEW, what do you kind of think at the moment as far as potential storylines that's going to happen and the current state of AEW?
I think they're improving compared to what it's been for the past 6 months, if not a year. I feel like it's been kind of slow. And also I feel like they've had the issue of too many people on their roster, where booking is really hard. And yeah, they have 3 shows, but can they really get all of those storylines in and book everyone properly? Because they have a habit of booking someone for a good 6 weeks, maybe a quarter, and then they just disappear.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. And you actually brought something else up too. We actually talked about this on our previous podcast about oversaturation of programming, but
mhm.
I totally agree with you on this in the sense of there's an oversaturation of programming. The Friday night show I stopped watching. The Wednesday,
Oh, Rampage. Yeah.
yeah, Rampage. I kind of just stopped watching altogether. The Wednesday show
Mhm.
is would probably be considered their staple. They're not going head to head
Yeah.
against WWE, which I think is smart. Then you have
Yeah.
the Saturday, yeah, you have the Saturday night show, which I got to be honest, I don't think that's a smart thing to do to go against like a WWE PLE. No way. So and kind of going back to like just oversaturation of programming, like how much you're gonna write, who like do you have the roster and the depth? I don't think you do. I think you're actually, I think it's a walk before you run type situation. But again, money talks. I know they're obligated to create X amount of hours of programming, so that's kind of what they're doing.
And I also know it's not an issue. It's just that AEW is AEW, and that's what Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision are. I love the shows. I do like Collision. I like Collision way more than Rampage, and Rampage is only an hour on Fridays. So I think they should maybe reconsider that and just get rid of that and keep Collision
Yeah.
and Dynamite where it is. I love that timing. But it's also too that there's not just one promotion involved. It's Ring of Honor. Um,
Correct.
I know what is it, New World Japan,
Yeah.
and there's a couple of more that are involved too. So they're constantly pulling people and just randomly throwing them on the show, and you're like, hold on a second, who is this person that's coming out? But it's like, what do we do?
No, you're right. That's obviously an issue. I'm not sure. And the other thing too, and this has kind of been just documented, from multiple sources and such, and obviously different reports. There seems to be a lot of like chaos behind. There seems to be a lot of chaos behind the scenes, as far as from booking, changing storylines. There were some rumors that even that's part of the reason why Cody Rhodes wanted to leave to go to W's. That's why there's rumors that's why Cody Rhodes wanted to go to WWE, was he kind of just saw where the direction AEW was going. So as far as like some of the stuff behind the scenes, that could potentially play no factor of how booking gets done as well.
Yeah.
Let's just run through the next match. How much did you see of the John Moxley match?
I saw bits and pieces of it. I love Mox.
Same here.
I'm always a big fan of him. I love how he is. I love how I feel like that's really what he is. Like when he just walks through the crowd and he's just like, "Ugh," that's him. Um, I mean, he lost his title. That was
Yeah,
disappointing.
I was a little surprised about that. Now, here's the thing. A guy like Mox who's already established, does he need a title to be put over?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think so. And I think that's the main reason why they probably dropped it from him. I think, again, from a storyline point of view, he's going to probably be in that conversations, probably start angles with Ospreay and Swerve and MJF. And the thing is, like, he doesn't need a title. He's kind of a staple of the promotion. So
I know another one that caused a little bit of controversy, but it was the six-way ladder match for the TNT Championship.
yeah, it that I was actually gonna bring that up. As far well, do you have any initial thoughts?
Well, the person I didn't want to win won, and so I'm just like, okay, I get it for writing, and I hate when they say, he's supposed to be a heel, so you're not supposed to like him. And I'm like, regardless, I don't like him. So it doesn't really matter. So even if he was a face, I'm like, I don't want him. But
No.
what do you think?
So I think there's always going to be guys that are going to get pushed no matter what. Uh, Almost regardless of fan reaction and even performance. And I think Jack Perry's that guy. And if we switch over, like I know for WWE, like I call him Boring Corbin. I never understood how he's still on the roster. I think he's boring. I don't think he contributes anything, but he's always going to get pushed. So like there's certain guys that get immunity. I think Jack Perry's one of them. I think he's going to get pushed whether me, you, or any other fans kind of like it or dislike it. I don't strongly dislike him. I kind of just think he's there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he has a lot of athletic ability. There's something about his character that I think is missing. But I gotta be honest, deep down inside, I had a feeling he was gonna win just because there has to be someone in the back that just really likes him and is gonna book him that way.
Well, he's with the Elite and the Young Bucks,
Yeah.
and they're like the VP thing, and and they have their heel thing going on right now. So I think that's how they're writing it as, like their takeover. Um, but I don't like any of them, and I that takes the fun out of watching because, and like you said, there's something about his character that just isn't believable.
Yeah.
And like he's this new scapegoat thing. He used to be Jungle Boy, and it just to me, and then the whole thing with him coming and being suspended because of his backstage fight with CM Punk last year, and then he comes back and turns heel, and then now gets a title shot. I'm just like, okay, but I heard the rest of the match was pretty decent.
Look, there's always a running joke that and this happens in whether it's in sports, whether it's in politics, whatever the case is, he probably has pictures of somebody, which is why he keeps getting pushed.
Pictures of what?
Who knows? No, but what's funny is like as far as a gimmick goes, I'm a little surprised, kind of like the way they've kind of changed us gimmicks a couple times. I'm almost surprised they haven't just come out and said, "Hey, look, this is Luke Perry's son." Maybe
That's how I know him. I love Dylan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Who knows? Maybe one of the writers is a diehard 90210 fan and just can't let that go and is going to push him. I mean, seriously, who knows?
And I hate comparing people to their family and their parents and their past and letting them be their own person and earn their career. But I can look past for that for some people. But for him, every time I see him, I'm like, that's Luke Perry's son." And don't get me wrong, he's very athletic. I'm sure he's really, really great, at times, but I just don't buy it.
So now let's go to Mercedes Moné. What clips did you see? How did you receive it? How do you like her just being like the top woman in AEW?
I don't want to sound like a hater on everybody, and I'm not. I'm not into the whole CEO thing.
Yeah,
so
I agree with you on that. I think it's boring.
I'm like, I think she could have come up with a better gimmick. So I know, I mean, she's all right. I'm glad Britt is back. That was my like fun thing for the night to see all that on social media. Besides Will and Swerve, it was Britt Baker is back, which is really exciting. And I love that she showed up on Dynamite and killed it. So
Britt's amazing on the mic.
I like her.
That's for sure. She's awesome on the mic. If I had to guess, I know there was a bidding war to bring her, like, whether she was going to go to WWE or AEW. AEW made a substantial offer. They got her. If I had to guess, part of her contract was to make sure that she was put over, and I think that's kind of the reason why she's on top right now. That's kind of what makes sense to me.
We need some of those contracts.
That's what I'm saying. That's what's up. Tony Khan, once he listens to this, yeah, he's gonna give that to us.
Put us over.
All right, cool. So now let's go to the Samoa Joe Shibata Hook as they defeated Chris Jericho, Big Bill, and Jeff Cobb. Any thoughts
the
on
learning
that?
tree?
What's that?
Like the learning tree. That's Chris Jericho's new thing,
Yeah.
which I don't know. I'm glad it turned out the way it did, and what I love was from the clips that I saw was and even Hook was in it too. I got a kick out of who was it, Jericho, and was teasing Taz in commentary, like, "Hi, Taz." And then what was great was Hook pinned Jericho and won.
Yeah.
So that was a nice touch.
Yeah. For sure. I think at this point, Jericho is probably a producer. Kind of like how I think he's a producer in a lot of these matches, and I think he understands. I mean, he's been in the game forever. Mm-hmm. He's always been. I think his purpose is to really kind of groom the guys that are younger. I think he understands how to put people over. I think that's kind of his role. I think you could probably make the same argument for Samoa Joe. This is I just thought this was kind of cool. It was kind of cool in the sense of like the vets really just trying to help the young guys. I just think that's kind of cool. That's how I kind of felt overall about this match.
Which I think that's what all of wrestling should be, is these top guys that are almost on their way out or in the coaching producer phase, put on a nice match, but also put over the new talent just to get the new guys going.
Yeah, 100%. I think that should be an evergreen concept.
Yeah.
All right, cool. How about Zack Sabre and Orange Cassidy?
I didn't see much of it. There wasn't a lot released on it. I'm trying to look at my notes here. They're just bullet points of who won and if there was like any crazy pins or submissions.
So, and I'm actually right there with you. It looks like this was sort of a flash in the pan. I think it was more I don't want to call this match a filler, but it almost seems like it kind of was.
And I feel like a lot of this was because I didn't realize how many matches there were on this card, because they did a 1 hour pre-show. Yeah. And there was like 5 matches on that I watched. And then when I was going through the card and I was like looking at it, I was like, hold on, none of those people were on. And so there were 10 matches. Oof. And probably like 3 or 4 in the pre-show, if not 5. I was like, this is a really big card when we could have cut it in half.
Another thing I thought was interesting, kind of going back to the card. So, I mean, obviously I'm a fan. I know you don't like him as much, but Bryan Danielson, and Shingo, that was a quarterfinal match at a PLE. Like, I didn't get that.
And that's what threw me off too, because I was like, what is this? And then they're like, oh, it's part of the Owen Hart tournament. And I'm like, okay, so did he win? And they're like, okay, now once he win or whoever wins on Dynamite, they have to go against Pac. And I'm like, huh?
That doesn't, yeah. Again,
and that's sense. What happened. And then of course he won, but I was just like, this shouldn't have been on this.
100%. If you're going to have tournament matches, it should be semifinal, final in the same night.
Right.
The whole point of a PLE is to separate itself from your weekly shows. So that made no sense at all. So again, so talking about chaotic booking, that this is one that stood out to me. That made no sense to me whatsoever.
Well, yeah, and that's what threw me off. I was really confused because I was like, it's already over, and then the tournament, and then they're like, okay, he's gonna go against Pac on Wednesday, and I'm like, well, that could have been done on Wednesday, not on.
Yeah, at a pay-per-view. Exactly. At a pay-per-view or PLE, that should be for semifinals. And really, I mean, semifinals leading to finals or just the finals only. 100%. So I didn't understand that at all. Did you get to watch any clips from the Toni Storm match?
I did. And I like Toni Storm. And I really like Mariah May. I think she is very scrappy. And if you've watched a couple of her matches, I like her. She's a very pretty girl and she's strong. And I know she had nothing to do with the whole Toni Storm thing, but that being like I don't know what they are. Like, are they supposed to be like mom and daughter, or they kiss and then they have the Mina is the other girl. And so at the end they did like a triple kiss, and
I didn't.
I don't know what's going on.
Another one I thought was interesting was the Elite and the Acclaim match. It almost seems like the Acclaim has kind of been quiet.
Do they have any like heat with anybody besides the Young Bucks? Because I know whenever Max comes out to rap, they turn off his microphone, and that's a thing.
Yeah, but again, I don't think that's not a strong enough presence, especially, given how popular they are with the crowd. I mean, people love the raps and everything else. I'm kind of disappointed the way they've been used, to be honest with you. I thought they're definitely over. I mean, the crowd loves them, but like they're kind of quiet, and I don't.
And they get Billy Gunn to come out with them too.
Absolutely. But so it almost seems like at this point, maybe they should just have him doing single stuff. and teaming, tag teaming regularly, like that almost seems like the next logical step.
Yeah, because I don't know what they're doing with the Young Bucks.
I just don't understand what their purpose is.
They're still hot. They have so much potential still, and I know they can do a lot more, but I just don't know what else creatively they're going for right now.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing I could see happening next is they split it up as singles. All right. Now, last, definitely not the least, but definitely peculiar because the match didn't live up to any type of hype. Let's talk about the MJF match.
I love MJF.
Me too.
I love him. And he is, let me just say this. I think he's like one of the best heels I've seen in a very, very long time. I love his character. I love him. Like, he is such great TV.
I agree.
And I'm so happy that he's back.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, he opened. This was the opening match, which, everyone had a lot of hope for it. It's not like it was a terrible match. It just wasn't up to par at least with Will and Swerve.
Sure.
But I was kind of shocked that it didn't get as much presence, I guess, on social media or with the fans, or maybe it's me.
No, I think, this is his first pay-per-view back, right? This is his first match on pay-per-view. So I think it was almost like, all right, let's give him a squash match to kind of get him steamrolling again and kind of go from there. But I got to be honest with you. Like, I still think they could have done more creative things with him. I'm not saying he has to fight a main eventer, but if you're going to, if he was off TV for that long and you're going to bring him back, and again, this is your top guy, I would have, to me, it just would be logical for him to have an actual match with, someone else.
When he left and took his break or recovered, and that was back in the winter, he had that issue with where it was the Better Than You Baby with Adam Cole. And we know he obviously can't mess with Adam Cole. And then they're part of the Undisputed Kingdom. So sure. That was where they left off.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think who else could he, what did he do? What on Dynamite? He turned heel.
Yeah, he turned heel. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. He turned heel. And if I had to guess, he probably requested that, or that was a plan all along, because he's definitely a much better heel.
Yeah, he's a great face, but I always call him, he's like, how do I always call them? They are like heel faces to me, baby heels, because they're so bad. It's like what Stone Cold is. Like, he was a heel, but you loved him kind of thing. True. Yeah.
All right, overall, again, I know we only saw clips and such, and as far as just what we read, Cage Side Seats is going to give it a B+. I love SB Nation and Cage Side, so I'm going to go ahead and agree with that grade. I'm going to give it a B+.
I would say maybe a B.
Swerve and Will, it's going to get, it's definitely the match of the year. If they can top that, that's impressive.
Love Swerve. I love him so much.
All right, that wraps up this episode. Our next episode, we're actually going to be doing Money in the Bank weekend.
Yeah.
Please like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, we'll see you later.
Bye, friends.